Yo, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. As today we'll be taking a look at the future of Michigan basketball. Coming off a really down year this year, I think a lot of Michigan fans pretty much all Michigan fans were disappointed with only making the NIT and not being able to make the NCAA tourney, especially after 5 straight Sweet 16s. So we're going to be taking a look at the future of this program. Obviously an underwhelming season. We'll talk about some of the players that Michigan can expect to have a big step up next year, as well as some transfers like guys like Caleb Love, Namari Burnett, and Trey Jackson from Seton Hall. And then we'll also be taking a look at some players that are already on the team, like Doug McDaniel and Taris Jr. So we're also going to be talking about Hunter Dickinson and his transfer, which, I think hurt a lot of Michigan fans. But let's take a look at Caleb Love first. This guy was probably my favorite player last year in the NCAA tournament, back in the 2022 NCAA tournament, last year's tournament, when UNC went all the way to the national championship. He was probably my favorite player that year. He's even my favorite player this year. But being a Michigan State fan, which, I'm sure some of you guys might know, I don't love him anymore. I'm just kidding. I still love him. I'm still going to, respect him. He's got some game to him, and I still will, like him. But, and just so you guys know, even though I am a Michigan State fan, it does not mean that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Michigan basketball. I watch Michigan basketball a ton. I know all their players. I know everything about them. So don't think that this is just some Michigan State fan talking. And I'm not even going to really say anything bad about Michigan, even though they had a disappointing season, which I think we can all agree was just disappointing. I mean, so many missed opportunities. But we're going to take a look at Caleb Love and just kind of talk about what he will bring to this team. I think all Michigan fans were excited when they saw this guy committed because of who he is, the name brand. He's transferred from UNC. He made the Natty last year. He's got the experience. He's going into his senior year. However, Caleb Love had a really underwhelming season himself. He averaged close to 17 points per game, but if you look at the stats, he shot barely over 35% from the field and shot under 30% from three. So this is a guy who's going to have to take a step up this year shooting-wise, and if he can do that, this guy could be a top 10 guard in the country, and I mean it when I say it. You saw what he did in the NCAA tourney the year before, so there's no reason that this guy couldn't do that again. He's just got to really, pick shots and shoot shots wisely, and I'm going to talk about his biggest weakness here in a second. One of his biggest strengths is driving to the hoop and just being able to score whenever he wants. He's pretty good rebounder, decent playmaker as well, as you can probably see. So he's a good point guard. He can play point guard. But if you want to see his biggest weakness, he likes to chuck up threes, and he does it too much, and he needs to be able to realize that there's more to basketball than just chucking up wild three-pointers and making, 1 out of every 10 of them, He did it the year before. He did it a lot this year, and I think that's why UNC took a big step down. So if he can kind of get out of that habit and get more into making plays, taking more shots closer to the hoop, and not just, only taking open threes, not just chucking up threes over guys, I think that will really help him. Now we'll look at Namari Burnett out of Alabama. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong or anything. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. But Namari Burnett, he was decent at Alabama. He was a decent shooter. He was better than what Caleb Love was, at least. But this guy's a guy who I believe he is a sophomore. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But a guy who I could see transitioning really well to Michigan, just because I think given a new opportunity, and you saw Alabama's team last year with Brandon Miller. I forget the guy's name. His last name's like Clowney or something, and then they had like Mike Sears, and they had all these guys that are super good, but this guy didn't get a ton of minutes. I think he was a bench player. I don't know how much he started or if he even did, but I believe he was a bench player throughout most of his career here at Alabama. And his stats weren't, they didn't jump out at you or anything, but that doesn't mean that this guy is not good. Like I said, you give this guy a new setting, a new team around him, and even if he does come off the bench for Michigan, I think that this guy's going to be a guy who is going to be a huge contributor to the Michigan Wolverines this year. So definitely a good pickup. I would say, it's can't really say much about it because, he's not like a Hunter Dickinson type transfer. He's just kind of, he could turn out well. So, and he's going to be a great shooter, and I think he'll do very well for Michigan. And now we'll look at Trey Jackson out of Seton Hall. This guy's a 6'10 guy who he's actually a really good shooter. He's a 37% three shooter, shoots close to 50% from the field. He only averaged about 6 or 7 points per game for Seton Hall, so I'm guessing he also came off the bench, but definitely doesn't mean that he's not going to start for Michigan this year, because if you look down low for Michigan, you're looking at Taris Jr. and maybe Will Shedder. I mean, I don't really know who Michigan would put down there this year, so I think this guy could definitely be a guy who steps up and plays down low this year. He's a 6'10" combo forward, I should say. He can score inside, he can score outside. A good defender as well. I would say this is a pretty good pickup for Michigan. Like I mean, I watched this guy and he doesn't even look that tall, but for being 6'10" and being able to shoot the ball like that, very impressive. And I think that he'll be able to put up some good stats. You know, he'll probably, if he starts, I would say he'd probably average somewhere around 10 to 12 points per game, probably like 6 or 7 rebounds. You know, nothing too insane, but at the same time, like he's going to be a big contributor. I think this guy's going to be a big transfer. You know, Namari Burnett will be awesome too, a guy who can come right off the bench or even start and just, you know, immediately be an impact, shoot the ball well, and just do everything well. And this guy is going to be a guy who I could see starting this year for Michigan. So you never know what's going to happen. He had a great season, even though, you know, he didn't have the greatest stats. But I think this, I forget what age he is as well. He might be a sophomore or junior. I'm not sure. I think he's going into his junior year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but definitely a good pickup for the Michigan Wolverines. And I would be excited. I mean, this guy, you know, he might not jump out to you with like, oh, you know, this guy's going to be the next Hunter Dickinson or whatever, but definitely a guy who, you know, transferred from Seton Hall, the Big East. He's going to see more play time and he's going to keep getting better. Now let's look at some players that Michigan's already got, like Doug McDaniel, who, you know, even as a Michigan State fan, I got to give it to this guy. This guy's insane. Here's the game, Michigan State at Michigan, where this dude popped off for like 20 points, like out of nowhere. He had 0 points the first matchup against MSU, and then all of a sudden went off for like 20 points and just completely just destroyed us. I mean, it was bad, but I mean, this guy, I got to give it to him. He's got some game to him. You know, a smaller guard, but able to do anything. A great defender. He's really quick. He's actually a really good defender. You can see him just, look at that, popping the ball right out of Tyson Walker's hands. I mean, that's insane. This dude's got game, so it's gonna be exciting to watch him. You know, especially if he stays another year after. Hopefully, he doesn't enter the transfer portal. I don't think he would, but definitely a guy who's gonna take another, you know, a bigger step this year. This guy came off the bench basically the whole year, and then, you know, once Michigan found out how good he was, it was already, you know, the end of the season, and Michigan was already basically an NIT team, so it kind of sucks, but. He was like one of the biggest contributors down the stretch because Jet Howard kind of fell off towards the end, and Hunter Dickinson was, you know, just, you know, average, doing his thing, you know, average Hunter Dickinson, and then Kobe Buffkin was, you know, on and off. So this guy was definitely a big contributor to Michigan and their success down the road. Sadly, it wasn't enough for Michigan to make the tournament, and it's not on him, obviously, because this guy could honestly be the reason Michigan makes the tournament next year. So I don't know. I think he's going to be exciting to watch. Taris Jr. also going into his sophomore year. This guy's probably going to be a menace down in the paint. He didn't really have an insane freshman year. He didn't get a ton of minutes, but when he was in, he showed flashes of what he can do defensively, offensively. I really like this guy, and I think a lot of people know this guy's got game. I think he's going to be good. I don't have any highlights of him, so sorry about that, but definitely excited to see what this dude's able to do, because I think he's going to have a great sophomore year and actually be Michigan's best player down low. He's going to be one of their biggest players all year. He's going to have a great season. Now let's talk about Hunter Dickinson, and for you Michigan fans, man, I'm really sorry about this. I personally hate Hunter Dickinson. He's my least favorite player on planet Earth. Any sport, I just hate this guy. He's cocky. He's arrogant. He, you know, thinks he's all that. And yeah, he's good. You know, he's got good stats and all that. But man, I hate this guy. But if he did come back to Michigan, which is unlikely, but if he did, I think he could be the difference between Michigan, you know, being in the NIT and making, you know, the NCAA tournament as an 11, 10, you know, 9, 8 seed, whatever. I think he could be that difference maker just because of, you know, what he can do. So you never know, but it sucks that he's leaving, but what can you do? And then looking at the other guys entering the draft, Jet Howard had a great year. Kobe Buffkin had a great year, but they'll be heading into the draft. So best of luck to them, obviously, and we'll see what they can do. So yeah, to close out this video, I'll kind of go over some predictions just real quick. I think Michigan basketball is probably going to have a very similar year to last year. I think they'll get about 18 wins, you know, 18 and 13, somewhere around there. And then I think they'll end up just missing the tournament or just getting in as an 11 seed. We'll see, but more than likely they'll end up missing the tournament again unless they add some more key players. We'll see what they do there. I think Caleb Love's going to have big contributions this year, and I think he'll average somewhere around 15 points per game. And Doug McDaniel will probably average around 14 or 15 as well. I think Taris Jr. will average just, I'd say about 10 points per game with like 6 or 7 rebounds per game. I think he'll take a big jump this year. And yeah, so that's pretty much going to do it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Best of luck to Michigan basketball this year. Definitely rooting for them to end up making the tournament this year, get back on track. And I don't know what they're going to do with Howard. I have no idea with Juwan Howard, but we'll see what they do. It's up to them, and if Juwan's the guy, then he is the guy, I guess. But after, going from Elite 8 and then to Sweet 16 and now missing the tournament, who knows what's going to happen. And now Hunter Dickinson's gone, so we'll see what Michigan can do without him. But best of luck to Michigan this season, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. And see you guys next time.